So the reading room takes over a very large gallery space in the Tasmanian Museum and Art Gallery. It's created this atmosphere of a reading room. When you come in, you see the walls are all painted red. There are books lining the walls up to almost halfway up the walls, thousands and thousands of books all laid on top of each other. There are carpets in the centre of the room. There's comfortable furniture. There'll be reading lamps. So it's going to be an inviting atmosphere where you can come in and sit down and feel that you want to curl up on the couch and read a book. But you'll also, at one end of the gallery, be able to watch people from all walks of life in Tasmania reading for around about 1 minute from one of their favourite books. And the people who are featured in there range from 5-year-old children to adolescents and teenagers to the Premier and the Governor, also reading from a section from their favourite books. There's also another element in the installation. On the red walls above all of the thousands of books, there's a code made from convex mirrors, and it's going to spell out a text, and that text says, "As it is below, so it is above." And it's an ancient text, very old text, that forms the basis of a lot of esoteric and also religious beliefs. In a sense, it's almost like that biblical phrase that says, "As it is on earth, so it is in heaven." And that links into the ideas that underpin the reading room, because the key idea that this work is about is that our identity is shaped by the books that we read, and the books that we read in turn reflect the society in which we live. Look, there are books here on all sorts of subjects, ranging from politics and economics, there's to pulp fiction and so on. There are, as we've been sorting these books and putting them across the walls and lining the walls, which is a really demanding process, my team has been finding fantastic books and saying, "Wow, look at this," and beautifully illustrated books. There was a bizarre one yesterday that Darren found that was to do with stitchery and craft and psychoanalysis, and had these extraordinary images of pieces of clothing that someone had sewn together in a neat way and an unneat way. And there are extraordinary picture books. There are adult books and children's books. It's really a reflection of our society, of the world in which we live, of the knowledge that we've accumulated as a society. As soon as I found out that I had this commission to create the reading room, I started collecting books. And I thought it was going to take me a little while, and I mentioned it to the librarian at the University of Tasmania, where I'm a lecturer, that I needed a whole lot of books, and she just sent out an email, and suddenly the University of Tasmania had, van loads of books for me to pick up. I contacted the State Library as well, and I got a lot of very large catalogues and bibliographies that have become obsolete now because we use the internet and databases to store that sort of information. And the other place I got a lot of books from was from Rotary, who'd actually been donated a lot of books from the State Library that were weeded out of their collection. Fuller's Bookshop also have given me lots of publishers' proofs, which has been fantastic. So even though there are quite a few contemporary books amongst this vast collection, I've got some even more recent ones through Fuller's, and then a number of friends have given me books as well. I've got a feeling there's something about the book and the aesthetic of the book as an object that has sort of almost it's a guaranteed draw card in a sense. While we've been setting up here, people have been wandering around the gallery, and so many of them have been incredibly curious about what's happening in this room. In last week, this entire space in here was stacked with books. You just had to walk through these little narrow sort of walkways between thousands of books. So, and people were just asking, oh, when can I come in and see it? So I've got a feeling that people are going to feel that it is quite a warm and inviting atmosphere. And they'll have opportunities to interact with it in different ways. And they can sit down and actually read some books. There'll be piles of books around the furniture. But they can also sit back and be read to by these people from different walks of life in Tasmania and listen to that. But there's also a big public program with a lot of events organised that have been organised. It's been organised by the Access Art here at the Tasmanian Museum and Art Gallery. And one of the key things that I'm really excited about is that members of the public are going to have the opportunity to actually contribute and add to the reading room and add to the readings that are both shown here in the art space and also to the reading room website. So on two occasions, one day in August and one day in September during this exhibition, people will be able to come here on a Sunday afternoon, bring their favourite book and be filmed reading, and those videos will be added to the video in the actual exhibition. So the exhibition's actually going to grow, and you may have the fantastic opportunity of seeing yourself literally as part of the artwork here up on the wall. But if you miss out on that opportunity, you'll be able to go to Brigita Ozolins' reading room website and upload a reading of yourself that you've taken on your digital camera or via your computer and upload it to the site, reading for 1 minute from a favourite book. I was a voracious reader as a child, and I read all the standard things like Eden Blyton and Aesop's fables and fairy tales and so on. But I particularly remember discovering some books on my father's bookshelf when I was about 13, 14. And I pulled out Virginia Woolf's The Waves and opened that and started reading it, and I was completely flabbergasted because, of course, the writing was extraordinarily sort of experimental in a way. It was so poetic, and I suddenly entered this other world. And then I'd pull out another book, and there was Jack Kerouac, and I'm reading On the Road. And so his library really introduced me to the breadth and extent of literature and the possibilities of what could happen in writing.